30 years old now. My name is Jack. As I sit by the window of my own home, watching the first heavy snowfall of the year, I see two small figures bundled in bright neon parkas through the glass. One is my 6-year-old son, sprinting across the lawn with a plastic shovel, and the other is my 4-year-old daughter, waddling through the drifts like a determined little penguin. Their laughter is softened by the window, but I hear it clearly anyway, because it's a sound I've carried inside me for nearly 25 years. Watching them, a wave of nostalgia hits so hard, it feels like I could step straight through the glass and fall back into the winter of 1999. That was the year of the great snow. At least, that's how it felt to me back then. My parents had gone off to some fancy holiday gathering, leaving my little sister and me at my grandmother's house for the day. Being dropped off at Granny's never felt like being left behind. It felt like winning something. The air smelled better there. The clocks moved slower, and the house itself felt like it was built out of warmth and old stories that had settled into the walls. I remember stepping out of the car and realizing the world had been completely rewritten overnight. Everything was white. The fences had disappeared. The bushes were soft marshmallow shapes, and the sky was a heavy, waiting gray that promised even more snow was coming. Granny was already outside. She always was. Even in her 60s, she didn't watch life from behind a window. She met it head on. She was out there with her old golden retriever, Buster, who was a chaotic blur of fur and joy, barking at the falling snow like he was trying to catch it. Granny was clearing a path to the bird feeders, her breath rising in little silver clouds. She wore an old wool coat that had survived more winters than I could count, and a bright red scarf snapping in the wind. When she saw us, her face lit up with that exact smile, the kind that made you feel like you were exactly where you belonged. She didn't warn us to be careful. She didn't tell us to stay dry. She just pointed to the deepest drift and said, "Well, what are you waiting for? That snowman isn't going to build itself." My sister was only 4 then, tiny, with red cheeks and a nose that never seemed to stop running. We spent hours in that yard, rolling snow until our mittens were soaked and our fingers tingled. We built a snowman that leaned dangerously to one side, with charcoal eyes, and one of Granny's old hats perched crooked on its head. I still remember my sister's laugh, high and sharp, slicing through the soft silence that only snow can make. We weren't just playing, we were building a kingdom. Every so often, I'd glance over at Granny. Sometimes she was throwing a tennis ball for Buster, laughing as he disappeared into the snow after it. Other times, she leaned on her shovel, just watching us, her face calm and full. She was the anchor of that day. She made the cold feel like a gift instead of a burden. Eventually, the sun dipped lower and the wind sharpened. That's when the back door opened and the most incredible smell floated into the yard. Toasted bread, slow-simmered soup. Granny didn't shout for us. She just stood on the porch and waved a wooden spoon. We ran for the house, boots thudding up the steps, trailing snow behind us like breadcrumbs. Walking into Granny's kitchen felt like being reborn into warmth. She didn't scold us for the puddles spreading across her floor. She laughed, helped us out of our frozen layers, and guided us to the heavy oak table. Lunch was simple: tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches, the edges perfectly burnt. I can still taste that soup. It wasn't just food, it was comfort you could swallow. It soaked into you, melted the cold out of your bones, and made everything feel right again. And the day kept going. Granny always had a plan. We spent the afternoon cutting paper snowflakes, little scraps drifting to the floor like indoor snow. She told us stories about her own childhood, about winters so cold your breath froze on your eyelashes. She made us feel like we were part of something bigger, part of a long line of people who had learned how to endure and still find joy. As evening settled in, the exhaustion arrived. The good kind, the kind that turns your limbs heavy and soft at the same time. Granny noticed before we did. She guided us to the bathroom, where a tub waited, steaming and scented like pine. I remember her warm, rough hands helping us into flannel pajamas that had been resting on the radiator. They were so warm, they felt alive. My sister was already drifting, her head resting against Granny's shoulder as she carried her to bed. Granny tucked us in tight, blankets pulled to our chins, the weight of the quilts feeling like armor. She sat on the edge of the bed for a long while, humming softly. The room was dark except for the glow of snowlight reflecting off the ceiling. Buster curled up on the rug at our feet, his tail thumping once before going still. As sleep took me, I felt a kiss on my forehead and heard her whisper that we were good kids. That was the best day of my life. I didn't know it then. I just thought it was a fun day at Granny's. But now, as a 30-year-old man with children of my own, I understand what she was really doing. She wasn't just watching us. She was building something inside us. She was creating a memory strong enough to last a lifetime. She's gone now, but every time it snows, she comes back. She's in the steam rising from my coffee. She's in the sound of the wind outside my house. She's in the way I look at my own kids when they stumble inside from the cold, cheeks red and smiles wide. I try to do for them what she did for me. I try to be the anchor. I try to make the food that tastes like love and offer the blankets that feel like safety. We spend so much of our lives searching for meaning in big, complicated places, in careers, in money, in status. But when I think about that day with Granny, I realize meaning lives in small things. A shared grilled cheese sandwich, a crooked snowman, the quiet kindness of someone helping you change wet socks. I want to pause here and ask you something. Somewhere in your past, there's a day like this, a moment where you felt completely safe and deeply seen. Maybe it was a grandparent. Maybe it was a parent, a neighbor, or a teacher. Maybe it wasn't snow at all. Maybe it was a summer afternoon, a rainy night, or a long car ride home. What was the heartbeat of that memory for you? A smell, a sound, a feeling. I'd really love for you to share it in the comments. Let's turn that space into a place of warmth. If this journey back to 1999 stirred something in you, if it made you want to pause or reach out to someone you love, please subscribe to The Next Tale. We believe stories are the only things we truly keep, and we're here to protect them. I can hear a shovel scraping the driveway now. My kids are probably ready for their own version of Granny's tomato soup. It's time for me to go be the anchor. Thank you for listening. Hold on to your memories. Keep your blankets warm. and never forget the quiet magic of a snowy day. I'll see you in the comments.